Welcome back. Today we are diving into something fascinating, the science of G connections and why they form or fade over time. You know that feeling when you associate certain things together, like hearing a sound that takes you back to a specific memory, that's G in action. But it's not always straightforward, and sometimes the connection that should form don't. So why is that? Let's start with an example. Imagine you are in the park chatting with your aunt when out of nowhere a bird drops something on you. Annoying, right? You feel frustrated. But oddly, this incident doesn't change how you feel about your aunt. You are not avoiding her because of it. Now, science has a theory for this, something called the simultaneous activation effect. Experimenting with the G, let's talk about it. In Pavlov's famous experiment, dogs learned to associate the sound of a bell with food. Over time, the bell alone made them salivate. It's a classic case of G formation. But then came Garcia's rat experiment, which showed us an interesting twist. Here's what happened. In Garcia's lab, he paired a buzzer or flashing light with nausea in rats. The results? The rats didn't respond to the buzzer or light with nausea, but they did start avoiding the food they eat right before feeling sick. Why didn't the lights or sound stick? Here's where things get interesting. Turns out, rats and many animals have instinctive cues that are hardwired for survival. Over generations, they've learned to associate food with illness rather than external cues like lights or sounds. This makes sense, right? Animals that don't connect bad food with bad outcomes are less likely to survive. This instinctual cue is strong and resists change, forming stable connections between food and nausea. Think about that bird dropping incident again. Your experience wasn't reshaped to associate the incident with your aunt. But why? Well, because the brain tends to dismiss these random events when we have other explanations, like the idea that a bird just happened to target you. However, if people often say that the park is dirty, this incident might reinforce that notion. Or imagine people always joke that your aunt brings bad luck, and you are already starting to believe it. The bird dropping incident could reinforce that belief. So, where do you direct the association? It depends on which G are activated and on the framework your mind already has in place. Here's another twist. If every time you see your aunt, a bird drops something on you, or every time you go to that park, something unlucky happens, eventually your associations might shift. This gradual change shows us that G form and reshape based on repeated reinforcement. So, what happens when feedback doesn't align with expectations? Imagine you are obsessed with winning the lottery, you keep losing, which should create negative reinforcement. But does it? Not always. Some people just keep buying tickets. This phenomenon of persistence, even in the face of failure, is what we'll tackle in the next chapter. Understanding how this persistent this work reveals why certain habits, beliefs, or associations are so hard to break, even when even evidence is stacked against them. Stay tuned because we are just scratching the surface of the universe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more fascinating insights into how your mind works. So, see you next time. Bye bye.